From County College of Morris, this is CCM All Access.
Hello, and welcome to CCM All Access, the show that brings you news and information from the County College of Morris. Students on campus, members of the community, people doing good things. I'm Mitchell Etta, and joining us today is Anthony Obery, who coaches men's basketball here at CCM. Welcome.
How you doing? How's everything?
Good. I'm glad to have you on the show.
I'm glad to be here.
So the first question I have for you is, when did you become coach of CCM men's basketball team, and why did you decide to take on that role?
I became the coach in 2014. I was actually the assistant coach with the head coach prior here was Coach Eric Poe. He used to be my assistant coach at my previous college that I came from, Felician College, now Felician University. When I was in my senior year, after my senior year was done, just like any other college student trying to figure out what's next. He said, if you want to, be my assistant coach, and then while you figure things out, come on board. So I took that opportunity in 2014 after I graduated college, and I've been here ever since. I've been here for going into basically now entering 9 seasons now that I think about it here at CCM. So it's a pretty interesting ride.
Okay, thank you for answering that question. Next one that I do have is, did you used to play basketball?
Yeah,
yourself?
I played at Mercer County Community College, and then once I left there after 2 years, I then transferred to Felician College and actually played there for another 2 years, and then I graduated and went and moved forward.
Okay, well, I could skip the next question. You told me where you attended college. So have you coached at a different school prior to CCM?
No, this is actually my first time, first experience coaching here at CCM. I had some good days, had some bad days, but it's a great learning experience for me early on in my career, and I kind of realized what I had to do to get to the point where I wanted to be. Yeah.
You're glad you're glad that you started coaching here.
Absolutely, because I believe that it gave me a new experience. You're good at it as a player, but now I understand what coaches talk about.
Yeah.
And you got to be on time, and you got to eat right. You got to do certain things. So as a player, you look at it, and I apologize to all my coaches that I had.
Yeah.
Now I understand.
Yeah.
I understand how much hard work it takes. How much discipline you got to have.
Yep.
So I definitely am thankful that I did walk into it because I can see it from the other side.
What is it that you look for in players?
I look for commitment. The main thing with this generation today is, it's hard to find committed people, committed guys, and not just on the court, off the court as well.
Yep.
I'm big on academics, and I take a high priority in academics because I know without academics you can't play. Without academics you can't move from CCM to go to another college.
Of course, yeah.
So I hold that to a high stature because without academics you really can't do anything. So that's big on my side. That's what I look for in players. And on the basketball side, I of course skill, of course being able to play at this level. A lot of times people get confused. Well, I play high school basketball. Yeah, but college is a little different.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a little different and a little more physical, a little more in depth. A lot more scouting. So.
Yep.
I look when I look for players and I look for guys that I'm recruiting. I'm looking for three main things: commitment, and I always do my background search.
Yep.
I look at where you come from, what type of school you came from, who's your coach prior to, because all that matters. Because when you're trying to get a kid to fit your system and fit your style of play, a lot of times you can headbutt because well, my coach told me this way. Well, guess what? You're here now.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out how to adjust. So that's a main thing that kind of when I look at recruits, I look at especially that where you come from, what type of background you come from.
Yeah.
And then I look at the fact, are you consistent? I'm calling you, I'm texting you, trying to figure out if you're replying 3 days later, that lets me know the type of kid you are.
Yeah.
You know,
you have to show that you're committed in order to really be a part of it. Yeah.
So if I give you the information as far as, okay, this is the application, how long are you going to take to fill it out?
Yeah.
So all that stuff, it matters to me. I look at all those things. So if you're consistent and you're hitting the points, that means you really want it. And that lets me know that you want to be coached. So that's a big thing for me.
So another question that popped in my head was, what other colleges does CCM go against? Do we play other county colleges as well? Do we play other colleges outside of county college, or?
So what I tried to do in the beginning of the season, we have what we call scrimmages.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is trying to get my guys different college options. So what I do is in the beginning of the season, when we allow scrimmages, I want to scrimmage against four-year schools. So our four-year schools can actually see our players, see our guys, they actually have the first opportunity to see what we got.
Okay, yeah. That's
so
smart.
that's what we, and we have been successful with it. And kids move forward, they go to school, they go to college based off of teams we scrimmage.
That you scrimmage.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what I try to do. We get four. I try to get at least 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It's been working for us. So as far as that, yes, we when it comes down to scrimmages, we try to scrimmage four-year schools.
Yeah.
However, when it comes down to our in-conference play, we have to play JUCOs.
Okay.
So we have our own conference, our own region, Division II region, and then we'll play a Division III school here and there.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to play us, and then we'll play 1 or 2 Division I schools.
Okay.
Within our conference and within our region, I should say.
Yeah.
Because our conference is Division II. So.
Does region include? Is that Morris County, or is that?
It's all over. It's all over. So
okay.
we can play teams from Delaware, Maryland. Usually we go down every year before during Thanksgiving. We go down to Maryland and we play the Division I tournament.
Really? Okay.
Just to get my guys that experience.
Yeah.
Even though we're Division II, I want my guys to see what Division I is like.
Yeah.
Of course.
And
let them see, like, can you compete at this level? You want to go to four-year schools, okay? Can you compete against a Division I team?
Yep.
And so that's my main goal when I do go on those trips. It's because I want my guys to be mentally prepared early in the season. So when the season comes down, they're like, well, listen, if I can play with them, I can play with anyone.
Yeah.
So that's the whole purpose of me venturing out and going to different states and playing different Division I programs. But yeah, we play PA, play New York, all Division II teams. And we try, if we're going out of state, I try to play Division II teams.
Yeah.
I try not to play too many Division III because I want my guys and there's nothing against Division III teams. I just want my guys to have an idea of who we may be playing against if we ever pass the championship.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So that's what we do.
So how does recruiting work for basketball at CCM?
Recruiting can be difficult sometimes. When I first started here, my main thing was trying to recruit in the Morris County area. But it's like a lot of guys here in this area, they go to four-year schools. They don't want to play basketball, so it was kind of difficult. So I had to put together a program where I have multiple of my assistants. I have 3 or 4 assistants where they all live in different areas. I may have one live in Essex County, one live in Union County, one lives in Mercer County. So I try to pick their brains. Okay, you live in this area. When we have a break, go recruit there. Go recruit here. Go all different type of areas you recruit. If it's a game in Union County, go recruit. If it's a game in Essex County, you go recruit.
Yep.
And I give them all different assignments.
Okay.
And then if I come out, only reason why I'm coming out is just to confirm.
Okay.
So I'm coming.
Yeah.
They call me
So
like,
you're like the final deciding
I'm the final
factor.
decision.
Yeah.
I say, okay, this kid, I like him, and I think he got a shot. But for the most part, that's how I usually do it. I'll sign my assistants to go check a kid out.
Okay.
And they come back to me and they'll let me know it's a yay or a nay. And then if they say nay, I go check it out for myself.
Okay.
Because I still wanted to see it for myself regardless.
Of course.
So that's how we recruit.
What does a typical weekly schedule look like for a player?
Okay, so in off season, we usually start like after the season start, we give them like a month or 2 off.
Okay.
And then we go into like preseason stuff. We try to put them in the spring league. Like right now, we're trying to prepare for a spring league for the guys. And and then once that goes into play, we find out, what guys are doing in the summer. We give them a workout plan. Now, when school starts back up in September, we have preseason. So preseason typically is we condition, we lift weights, and we're in the gym. Sometimes we do tour-a-days where, you go to the weight room around 4 o'clock. Once you're done with the weight room, you go to study hall. Once you're done with study hall, now we got conditioning. So we try to break it up. Sometimes we'll take the forwards one day, we'll take the guards one day.
Yep.
So we break it up in groups.
Yeah.
So they can build that chemistry with each other. And then once we assign like the bigs to be in the weight room while the guards are doing conditioning. And then at one point in that day, we'll bring everybody together.
Okay.
For skill and development.
Yeah. So it's a mixture of a whole bunch of different things, depending on maybe the week, depending on what has happened the day before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We try to go 3 days out the week during the preseason because we still want them to focus on academics.
Yeah.
Especially down the home stretch. So especially a lot of the new students that's fresh to college, they don't know about college. So the last thing we want to do is overwork them, on the basketball court, and then when it's time for them to do their schoolwork, they're not going to be able to do it because they're tired.
Yeah.
So we try to, when they first get here, we try to do 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so they can get, and then I want them to get used to school too.
Yeah, ease into it a little bit. Yeah.
So sometimes I'll wait. I want them to start preseason right away. I'll just wait until they get, I'll wait till they get, used to school system, what time to wake up and what time to be in class, because it's new to them. It's new. Some of the sophomores, and they kind of get it. Yeah. And we try to ask them to help out.
You don't want to throw a lot on them.
I don't want to throw a lot on them, and we try not to.
Of course,
we try not to.
And now we're gonna take a break. Please stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
I'm Andrea Lucia, a graduate of County College of Morris. At CCM, I gained a high-quality education, was involved with clubs on campus, and performed university research in tissue engineering. My CCM education prepared me for ongoing success. Today, I am at Cornell University, studying engineering and performing research in cardiac tissue engineering. The professors and staff at CCM helped me to start right and finish strong.
And we're back on CCM All Access. I'm Mitchell Etta, and we're here with Coach Anthony Obery. So you may have touched upon this before. What are some responsibilities the players should take on in the off season?
Take care of their bodies. Take care of their bodies. Eat right. I know they're young. They feel as though that it doesn't affect them, but it does. And take the time out to master your craft. Take the time out to work on what you're good at, because, like I said before, other teams scout and they know your weaknesses. So just master what you're good at, and understand, yes, you have a weakness, but if you master what you're good at, master the reason why you're here, the reason why you got recruited. That's all we ask you to do. Yeah. You can work on it off season. You can work on your your limitations, but just master. When you come to college, your main focus is master what you've been recruited for. And because you're fitting a piece to a puzzle. Yeah. So that's why you're here.
So you could almost say the off season is almost as important, or even just as important as the regular season. Off
season is very important, because what you do in the off season is going to translate when you come back to me in the fall. Yep. And I'm going to see it. If you're a step slow, I'm going to see it. I want to recognize it. I'm going to come up to you and ask you, like, hey, what you been doing off season? You look like you're out of shape. You look like you've been sitting around at home all day. You look like you haven't worked out. Yeah. So, and that can affect the process of where we're trying to reach or where we're trying to go. Yeah. So off season is probably more important than the end season. Yeah. Because end season, it goes like this. Yeah. We have a couple of weeks of practice, and before you know, we got a game. So, that's why we tend to take the off season very seriously.
Yeah. The player has to take the initiative to do things on their own in order to actually perform well, especially at the start of the season. I mean, they can have a rocky start, end off being pretty well and improving, but the beginning of the season is also very important, just as much as the end of the season too. So,
absolutely.
What does a general basketball practice look like?
So what we usually do for practice, we go in, we stretch, we have them run around the gym about 10, 15 times, just to get their body warmed up. We send them through different drills, once again, to get their body warmed up. Depending on what type of month it is, like the month of October, we really try to focus in on the defensive stuff, because I tell them, you know, you play defense, your defense can make your offense. You know, I'm not so caught up on offense. I want to know if we're going to be able to defend, because if you can defend, you can get stops, and then we can go in transition, we can score in transition. So that's always my first goal, is to kind of get them to get on to my defensive philosophy. That's the hardest thing for me. Like, a lot of kids that come to my program, it's hard for them to adjust to my philosophy defensively. Yeah. Because I'm very aggressive, so everything we do is aggressive. And a lot of times, kids come from programs where, you know, they just sit back and they relax and they just think they playing defense, and they're really not. Yeah. So that's the main thing for me, is October. I want to focus on defense, and then towards the end of October, going into November, then we work on the offense. But a typical day of practice for me is they come in, they stretch, they run, they do drills, we work on our defense, work on our offense. We probably implement some scenarios. Down by 5, you need to run this. Right? Y'all team, y'all run this play. Defensively, y'all play defense this way. And we see how they respond, you know, because it's nothing like actually being in that type of situation. Yep. You know, look at it now, so when you do get to that point, you'll know what to do.
You know exactly what to do. So we got a couple coronavirus questions here. How did COVID-19 affect the way you coached?
It was hard. It was hard because, and I don't want to say this in a negative way, sometimes people make excuses. You know, I can't make it because of this, I can't make it because of that. So it was, and you couldn't not, you know, saying they was lying or anything, because you had to take it serious. Yep. So I think sometimes people probably use it to their advantage a lot of times. Yep. But as a coach, you know, you have to adjust. And that's one thing I learned doing coaching. You know, you can't coach in your feelings. You gotta kind of understand where players are coming from. Yep. And understand that you know, because COVID-19 was a serious situation. So you know, so the effect of it, having me, you know, my coaching ability, it made me take a step back and think, you know, like, listen, you know, something can happen, you know, and you know, it could be a serious situation if you don't take the initiative to do X, Y, and Z. Yeah, so you know, so it allowed me to take a step back and analyze what we had to do, what we needed to do, what were the guidelines. You know, should we have practice? Should we not have practice? Should we go this long? Or should we not go that long? You know, should we do non-contact? You know, just shoot free throws, just get in the gym and shoot jump shots. You know, split everybody up in different groups. So it was a lot that we had to kind of think. Yeah. You know, and had to stay in the guidelines of what, you know, we were.
So all with masks on, I'm assuming as well.
On, yeah. You know, every coach, every player had to have a mask on. Players say, I can't breathe in this mask, and you know, they complain it, you know. I'm like, you gotta keep it on. You wanna practice, you wanna be in the gym, you gotta keep it on. Yeah. You know, the wrong person walks in and see that we're not following the guidelines, we could be shut down. Yeah. You know, so that was a major thing for us, and especially as my staff as a whole, trying to adjust, you know, with the COVID-19 protocols.
Yeah. So how did COVID, would you say, affected the players? How did it affect the players?
Mentally, it was draining. Like, you know, you had some people who took it serious, and you had some people who was like, oh, coach, I'm young. I'm like, listen, you go out here and you do one thing, you come back and bring it to somebody else, we all messed up. So, you know, it was frustrating for them because they wanted to play, they wanted to have practice, they wanted to be there, but, you know, we had to follow the protocols, and for them it was frustrating. Yeah. You know, especially with the cancellation of games. Like, you know, we had to cancel games. Some teams wouldn't play, you know, some teams couldn't play. Some teams had to make up games, and we lost a lot. So they're like, well, coach, are we going to get the game back? And I'm like, probably not.
Yeah.
You know, because they're not a conference game.
Yeah.
So, and even as a coach, it's frustrating for us because now, you know, that lets us be above 500 or below 500. That matters in playoffs.
Yep.
You know, if you have a certain record than the other team, you may not get that #1 seed.
Yeah.
You know, based off of how many games you played.
Yeah.
So
even though you might not like the protocols, you still have to follow them.
Absolutely.
Or else there won't be a team.
Absolutely,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like,
you have to, you know, and they understood it. My team actually, they understood it. My staff understood it.
That's good.
And we adjusted. You know, we adjusted like every other program around the world. We adjusted. They were just happy out to be on the court. They
Yeah.
were just happy just to have a chance to actually just play. I think that was big for us this year, just to actually finish the season.
Yeah.
You know, that was a major accomplishment.
Yeah, that's great. What are some of the accomplishments CCM basketball has made since you started coaching?
Oh man, so when I first started, it was bad. It was rough. You know, I had a couple of seasons where I was like maybe winning 3-4 games out of 20 plus. You know, and I had to adjust. I looked at the conference play. I looked at, you know, what I was dealing with, and I had to bring in the staff.
Yeah.
You know, to help me and not put so much pressure on me. And so when I put it together a good staff, that's when I started seeing changes.
Yep.
Because I didn't have to go out and recruit everywhere. I
Yeah.
could send them everywhere. You know, I could put more time in studying film or trying to figure out what I need to plan for practice. So when I created staff, it created me an outlet to do other things. So my first couple of years was rough, and then I started getting the hang of it. I started winning, instead of 4 games, 8 games, 10 games.
Yep.
You know, it started going up, and then I finally got to a place, I believe it was like 2017 or 18, yeah, 2017, 18, that I won my first championship. And then after that first year, I won it again the second year. So I won it back to back. So it was like, okay, I'm starting to get the hang of it, you know.
Yeah.
And then from there on, we never was below 500. We always, you know, had a good record. We continued to stay afloat because I figured out the system. I figured out
Yeah.
what works. I figured out what type of players I need to get myself to that, you know, to that caliber of play to stay in the conference.
Yeah.
So
Took you some time to adapt,
yeah,
but you
yeah.
did eventually get the hang of it.
I
so.
adjusted.
Yep.
I adjusted. Life is about adjusting. Gotta adjust.
Always, yeah. What does it mean to put in 100% as a coach and a player?
Well, for me, putting in 100% is, like I said before, consistency. You know, I'm big on that. You know, everything I do to studying film, watching film, talking to my guys, my approach towards practice, you know, I let them know that, listen, we're here, we might as well get the best out of it. You know, we got 2 hours to get the best out of this day. Let's do what we got to do and move forward. You can go home and play a game, or you can go home and call whoever, or go on your cell phone. Let's get the best out of this moment.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I expect every time we walk in the gym. Get better. Every time you walk in here, do something to get yourself better. And my players know. They know when I walk in the gym, I'm ready to go. I'm not, you know, I laugh and joke, but it's a time where I'm serious.
Yeah.
You know, and we gotta, you know, step up and do what we need to do to get through this day. That's why I tell them, your goal when you come into the gym is get through the day. And when you get through the day, that means I want hard work. I want you to push each other. All right. At the end of the practice, you should be drained. If you're not drained, that means you
weren't working hard enough.
You wasn't working hard enough.
Yep.
So that's my mindset.
I've heard that before.
Yep. That's my mindset. So and that's what carried me to this point. You know, just having mental toughness and being honest with the player. That's big.
Yeah.
You know, if you can relate to the players, you know, they understand. Oh, okay, cool. I get it. You know, I know what you want from me. I know what you expect. And that's when great teams come out of things like that.
Yes. Do you have any suggestions for students who are interested in becoming a coach in the future?
Don't do it. No. Coaching is you got to have a lot of patience. Gotta have, because you're gonna have bad days. You're gonna have good days. You're gonna have bad days. You're gonna have a group of young men, you know, that say they love the game but don't show it. You know, you're gonna have a group of young men who love the game and they're being, and it's not everyone. You always got a certain group of young men that's like, oh, okay, I love it, but they're not putting the work in.
Yeah.
And you know, and those sometimes be the ones that's most skilled. And then it leaves out the ones that's not as skilled as the ones, you know, and now you gotta make a decision. So when it comes down to coaching, you can't play favorites.
Yeah.
You have to understand the concept of, even though he may be your best player, you have to treat him like you treat everybody else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it can cause damage, and it can cause problems. So if you're looking into coaching, always I always say this word: be consistent. Be consistent in the way you coach. Don't change your style based off of who comes into your program. Be consistent. If you're going to be that firm coach that yells, be that coach. If you're going to be that passive coach, be that coach. Because one thing about kids, they can smell blood. And what I mean by that is that they know when you're not serious, and they know when you are serious.
Yep,
and
that is
they
true.
know how to push your buttons.
Yep.
So I tell them, like, listen, if you're going to be that way, be that way. If you're going to be the good guy, be the good coach. If you're going to be the bad coach, be the bad coach. Don't be wishy-washy.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I do as a coach, my philosophy is, if you're doing bad, I'm going to say something. If you're doing good, guess what? I'm going to say something, because I'm going to let you know when you do something bad and it's not right, if I address the fact that you're not doing something good. That's like, well, coach, you always tell me I'm doing something bad. What about the good stuff I do? You know, I let them know. Hey, that was a great play. You know, last play was a little shaky, but this play was a good play. You know, and that gives them confidence. Okay, coach, trust me. And if you can have trust from your players, you know, the sky's the limit. You know, you always want to have players that go through a brick wall for you. And once you establish that, then you know you're a great coach.
Yep. All right, thank you for your input on coaching. This has been another edition of CCM All Access. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.